In Focus is powered in part by Go Chevrolet at I-25 and the Boulder Turnpike. Your source for new or used cars and trucks, and reliable service for most makes and models. Just visit goautochevrolet.com.
Welcome to In Focus with Eden Lane.
Later tonight, I'll bring you highlights of my conversation with Randy Weeks, President and CEO of Denver Center for the Performing Arts, about their newly announced season. But we'll begin with Jersey Boys in its last weekend at the Buell Theatre. We'll get a backstage tour with the Jersey Girls. But we begin with a Colorado native making his debut at the Buell Theatre. Welcome back to Colorado.
Thank you.
Is this your first time coming back to Colorado with a tour?
It is, yeah.
How does that feel?
It is. It's amazing, but it's so strange because I haven't performed here professionally until.
But you've been to this theater many times, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yes. Growing up, I used to come see shows here.
What was the show you saw here that sparked your interest in theater?
It was after I had graduated high school. I played sports in high school mostly.
So you weren't a theater geek in high school?
I kind of was, but I had never done a musical until my senior year.
So a little bit. You're mostly an athlete.
A little bit, but mostly an athlete. Football, basketball, baseball. That was kind of what I did. And then
What was the name of your team?
The Faith Christian Eagles.
The Faith Christian
Yes.
Eagles in Arvada.
Yes, in Arvada.
So what was the musical you saw after graduation that got you going?
I saw Wicked right here at the Buell, and I was sitting in the audience, and I had this great epiphany, which at the time was an epiphany, but I went, this is what I need to do for my
You
for my
realize
life.
that to me and to all of our viewers, that will not sound corny at all, because we
Okay.
all absolutely get that.
Oh, okay, good. So yeah, I sat right in the middle of the orchestra and watched Wicked and said, this is what I want to do. And I didn't know where the stage door was, and so I asked around and I found it, and after the show I talked to some of the performers, and one of them sat and talked with me for about half an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, I was actually blown away, especially that I do this now, knowing that, after a show you're tired, you want to
go
home.
eat, you want to
Yeah.
celebrate, you want to go relax,
Yeah.
anything but.
Because we've been at work and you've been at play, and now we're going, it's time for us to go, not be at work anymore. But anyway, she gave me the name of the Boston Conservatory, where I ended up going to school. But I was a jock. I was clueless about how anything like that worked.
That may have served you well. You didn't realize what it would take. You didn't
No.
know what you would be up against.
No. It actually, until I got to school and went, oh, these kids have been doing this since they were 10, and I've been playing sports.
So you don't have to have started when you were in grammar school.
No.
You can
No.
sort of approach it a little bit later.
Yeah.
Now that you're that person that we come to see at the Buell or
Yeah.
everywhere else, since you're on tour, traveling the whole country, how does that feel to you?
It's just an amazing life and an amazing lifestyle to be able to live, and I think too, when we do get to talk to people, we talk to schools, we talk to pretty much anybody that'll, listen to us. It's such a responsibility, I think, for me to, talk to those kids, or even talk to the parents whose kids want to do this and say, this is doable. It's a tough business, but it's doable, and just encourage people to give it a shot.
Now that you're a swing in this show, it means you gain a lot of experience in a short period of time.
Yes.
It's one of the hardest working jobs.
Yeah.
But you're also going to get to step in as the standby for a role while you're here. What does that feel like?
It's amazing to be able to be on this stage where I kind of realize that this is what I want to do for my life, and to have my family come and see me in a show of this caliber. It's the first time that that's ever happened, and it's just it gives me butterflies thinking about it.
You know they're going to want to come every night. They're going to want to take you out and celebrate every night.
Of course.
Now, it's not a family show. You won't have that opportunity necessarily that someone had with you when they were here with Wicked to
Yeah.
talk to a very, very young person.
Yeah.
Who was that person that spoke to you, by the way? Do you remember?
Her name is Katie Adams,
Katie
and
Adams.
she was the Glinda understudy. She was in the ensemble in the Glinda understudy in Wicked, and she went on to play it either on Broadway or on tour. I'm not 100% sure, but
So even though young people won't necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
not very many of them will get a chance to see you in your Buell stage debut, they will get to see you on television.
yeah.
What would you say to them if you were talking to young high school students in the same place that you were?
I would just say go for your dream, and whatever makes you happy, do it. There's going to be a lot of people out there that say, you have to do things a certain way, but do what makes you happy and do it, 150%. And then at the end of the day, if it doesn't work and you've given it everything you have, then do something else. But and especially with this business, if you're going to do it, you have to give it everything you have. And if you do that and it works, great. If not, then find something else you love to do and do that too.
I think that's great advice no matter what the passion is
Yeah.
for a young person. I'm so glad that we got to meet you. I can't wait to
Absolutely.
come back again and see you step in
Yeah,
in your
yeah,
role.
absolutely.
And I will know I'll be listening for your parents cheering
Yeah,
you
yeah.
on. Thanks for making time for me today.
Absolutely, thank you.
Now we get a backstage tour with the hard-working and glamorous members of the cast, the Jersey Girls. So we're backstage at the Buell Theatre for the Jersey Boys, but we have it even better. We're here to meet the Jersey Girls.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in a little early today for us,
Of
ladies.
course, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So this room we're in is a very important room to what you're doing during the show because you're busy the entire time. Tell us where we're at.
This is our stage right quick change booth. And for the ladies, we play upwards of 50 roles in this show. Just the three of us play 50 parts combined. So there's a heck of a lot of changing of costumes and wigs and shoes and jewelry, as you can see, and it all takes place in this tiny little room.
So they didn't cut any corners by letting you just change your outfit. You have to change everything down to jewelry.
Everything.
Jewelry, dresses, absolutely everything.
You are the understudy or the swing, and you're stepping in because there's only 3 women doing all the characters and only 1 understudy.
Right, because there's 3 women, you only need 1, which is called swing or understudy, whichever way you'd like to call it. And so this week I'm playing Mary Delgado, which is one of the girls in Frankie's First Wife. But should Kaylee have to go on vacation, personal day, or Rachel go, I would step into either of their roles. So I actually know all 50 plus roles and have
Crazy.
Yeah,
Incredible.
which
Incredible.
is very
I mean-
exciting and so much fun. And so I get to kind of have a sample of each of the girls, which is so much fun. I really enjoy it.
This is a guide for our dressers. We have 2 dressers between the 3 of us. So they know what to set out next on the chair, and everything is, in line and ready for us to hop into when we get to our room.
You're doing it on tour, which adds that extra level of stamina that you need and probably changes your relationship with your dressers a little bit.
Absolutely.
Well, the interesting thing is our dressers are all local dressers at whichever theater we go to. So we meet them the first day we get here, which is usually that Tuesday just before we have the show that evening. So it's interesting because we also get to meet these wonderful people who live in this area. A lot of times they give us great hints on or tips on where to go, what to do, and every theater we've been to, they've been amazing and incredible. And literally, without them, we would go on stage with no clothing on whatsoever. It's not good.
So you have to make friends with them right away so you know what character you are.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And the ladies brought me downstairs to tour the makeup and wig room.
This is where we go pre-show to get the wig caps, pin curls, mics, everything put together, and then wig, and then you go. And then at the end of the show.
They help you with your wig?
Yes.
We
absolutely.
actually
We
don't put on any of our own wigs. They're amazing. Not only do they prep and do all the wigs pre-show, they put them on our heads, and then they're up there with us in those quick changes, knowing exactly when we need to change a wig, and they go back and forth from different quick changes. There's some quick changes that happen right off stage with wigs, and they're right there.
Now, the first time we get to see you together as a group performing is My Boyfriend's Back, right?
Yes.
This
What
is
was
it.
that single?
What's that like?
It's actually one of our quickest changes right before that, interestingly enough. So we have to take a moment right before we walk on, and then I don't know. I just feel a very strong connection to you two.
It's like
really
girl
fun.
power
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Especially
Just have that one. It's the only real girl number in the show.
Yeah, we're
so-
rarely on stage, all three of us
Yeah.
at once, so it's a nice moment of, it's our time out there.
Yeah.
There are only a few performances left of the Jersey Boys at the Buell Theatre. Visit denvercenter.org to join the party with the Jersey Boys. Now, highlights from my early conversation with Randy Weeks, President and CEO of Denver Center for the Performing Arts and Denver Center Attractions, about their new extended season. He invited us into his office for this early preview. I so appreciate you giving us a chance to sneak in here early to find out about the season so that we can share it with our viewers. This is an exciting season and a really full one. It's wall-to-wall packed.
Yes, this is reminiscent. We're going back to, oh goodness gracious, the early 90s when we had the opportunity to open the Lion King tour. And we basically had a season that ran for about 18 months. And we're going to basically do the same thing again because of the Tony Awards this year and some fast planning. We were able to pick up the Tony Award winning musical Once. So we really wanted to do it. We added it to the season, so we're going to be stretching to a longer season than normal this year.
Longer season than normal and less downtime in between shows, it looks like.
Yeah, we have about 11 shows on the season this year, so we're going to be doing a lot of theater.
So, of course, we're dying to know, how did you get Once?
Well, it was a phone call, and we are fortunate in Denver, really, because Denver is one of the cities that everybody wants to play. And
Why do you think that is?
well, there's a couple of things going on. First and foremost, it's geographically important when you're moving a show around the country. You're going west to east or east to west. Obviously, Denver's right in the middle of Chicago and LA or whatever, and so it's a good stop geographically. But I think really more importantly, over the years, through the collaborative work of our founding chairman, myself, the city and county of Denver, and the people of Denver who support theater remarkably well, we are a great theater town. People love theater. They support theater.
And they know theater.
And they know theater. They know good theater. And so it's become a really, I would put Denver toe-to-toe with just about any town in this country.
I think you're right on target with that, and I think the Denver Center Theater Company's reputation and being a Tony-winning company itself adds to that appeal.
Absolutely. I think we have really not totally unique, but a unique situation, at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, because we not only have the touring Broadway and the presentation element with center attractions, we have a first-class, nationally and internationally known repertory company, which also part of the work that Kent Thompson does as the artistic director has focused on our new play program. So we're commissioning and creating new theater all the time too. So we have a little bit of everything going on here, and it's all first rate.
And just a couple of weeks, we have the launch of the national tour of Book of Mormon right here at the Denver Center.
Yes, that's so exciting.
And you will have another launch coming up in this season that's really exciting. Tell me about that.
We have, and part of this is really, we joke in the business that there's really about only 3 people in Broadway, in the Broadway industry, and we all know each other, and we know our birthdays. But it is a business about relationships. And a dear friend, Nancy Gibbs, is the producer of Peter and the Starcatcher. And we were working with her on another project. The Denver Center's involved with a show called Traces. And Nancy was working on that. We were talking, and they didn't really know where Starcatcher was yet and so forth. But she says, if it goes well, would you be interested in opening our tour? And kind of being doing my due diligence and pretending to be a professional, I said, of course Nancy would be interested, but I really want to see the show.
Isn't that horrible that you have to go see all this theater before
I
you
know.
book it?
It's a hard knock life, but I get through it. But I did. I went to see the show, and I absolutely adored it. It is just hysterical, and obviously not obviously, but the source material is really mirrors to some extent Wicked. I mean, Wicked is sort of what happened before Dorothy shows up in Oz. And Peter and the Starcatcher is the story of Peter Pan and how Peter Pan became Peter Pan. So it's a great story. It's very funny.
It should be easy to travel because the production design itself is so, it relies upon the audience to supply.
It relies on the audience. It is what I call a very smart, low-tech show. I mean, what they do with one piece of rope is the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. It becomes a ship, it becomes a door. I mean, it's just, it's wonderful. It depends on great storytelling versus, a chandelier falling or a helicopter landing or
Which is
whatever.
all legitimate theater too.
Totally true. But I mean, theater is about telling stories, and this is a great story that they tell.
Another thing I can't wait to share with my neighbors when it comes to the Denver Center during your next season is Warhorse. Another example of creative problem solving in wonderful storytelling. Tell me about that.
Oh my gosh, it's a wonderful. When I talk about Warhorse, it's one of those things that I still sort of get goosebumps about it a little bit. And for those people who haven't seen Warhorse, but they might have seen Lion King, there is a very large component in Warhorse. Obviously, Warhorse, there is basically the lead is a horse, and the horse is named Joey. And in the stage production, it is played by a life-size, and I think almost maybe a little bit larger than life-size puppet, created by a puppetry company out of South Africa. And literally, my experience was very similar to going to see Lion King, and you knew that actors were manipulating some of the characters, but within 5 or 6 minutes, you stopped seeing the people and you just saw their character or the puppet that they were manipulating. And I think it happened even faster for me with Warhorse. And Joey's not the only horse on stage. There are others. And each of the horses are manipulated by at least 2 or 3 actors and sometimes more. I mean, the horses are breathing. They're moving their ears.
It's almost like they're not manipulating it, but they're becoming, as a team,
exactly,
that character.
They are becoming that character. But once again, it only takes a handful of minutes and you don't see the people anymore. And you're just seeing the horse.
Now, some of the other highlights of your season are shows that we might have heard of before, but you have a revival coming of Jekyll and Hyde. Tell me about that.
Well, actually, there's a couple of revivals. Jekyll and Hyde is coming back, as you mentioned. Frank Wildhorn has sort of re-envisioned the musical, and that is coming back. We are bringing Evita back. Evita is currently on Broadway with Ricky Martin.
And a very different entry point into this beautiful musical in this production, in this take on it, I think. What did you think of it?
Totally. I'm a bit of a, what is the word? A traditionalist, I guess I would say. And Evita would be in probably my top 5, top 10 favorite musicals. So they really, truly reconceived this production. Choreography, set design, everything is really very different. And it took me a minute.
Even the orchestration is quite a bit different.
Quite a bit different, but the physicality of the production was what really I noticed at first. And it took me a minute to settle a little bit and go, it's okay. There are many different ways of doing a show, and what made it okay for me was the music and the wonderful songs, and to me it will always be a classic. One of the shows that I'm most excited about is Once, which is a marvelous musical. And once again, I'm really, really refreshed to see shows that are successful and shows that tell a wonderful story, and they're not dependent upon a lot of high-tech stuff going on. And really, the set of Once couldn't be any simpler. It's literally a
bar.
a big bar. And it's really kind of fun because when you first walk in to the theater, you're welcomed up to go on stage, and there's a big bar at the back of the stage.
Do you think that'll be true on tour?
I
in a
believe
big
that-
house like the Buell?
Yes, I'm sure that that's going to be part of it too, because it really is part of the experience. And then you're kind of up there, and then slowly they kind of give you a little hint that it's time to start making your way back to this. But even as people are still making their way back, kind of the lights start to shift a little bit, and really people are still making their way back, maybe ordering one more drink, and the show is starting. And the music starts and so forth, and then there's kind of a minute there's a moment where you go, okay, the show really has started now. But you're never really quite sure, and I think that's great storytelling in itself, and it makes it a little bit more of an event.
Were you surprised when it won the Tony?
No.
No.
No, actually, you can collaborate if you want to check my story. I happened to be in the theater that night with our chairman of the board, and a friend of his, and another board member, and we were sitting in a different part of the theater. But I got up I wanted to get some water, and I just walked by and I said, "You're watching the Tony Award-winning musical." I made the call at intermission, and guess what? I was right.
Wow.
It won the Tony.
So that's a lot of product on Broadway and on tour coming here
Right.
that is based on other sources, not original material. What do you think of that trend of having so few new musicals that are based on that aren't based on other source material?
I think that it's just another cycle. I mean, it's my opinion, and I've been around long enough, and I'm not going to say how long I've been around.
Good, because if you say, then I have to, and I don't want to
and
either.
we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. I'm still 20, but Broadway goes through cycles, and it always has, and it continues to reinvent itself.
Usually in response to what the audience will bear, though. Is that not true?
Exactly. In the context of imitation is the highest form of flattery. If some kind of a show is a hit, well, then you find people trying to. This is yet another phase that we're working our way through, or maybe we've worked our way through it. I'm not sure. Even though Ghost actually it follows a movie, but there's another important piece, and we've done this from time to time. In that we work with the Denver Center Theatre Company, and from time to time we'll put all of our subscribers together, and we're
Meaning the Denver Center Theatre Company subscribers and Denver Center
Attraction subscribers, and we will work on a production, and we are going to be doing for the first full-scale production of Sense and Sensibility.
which we got, those of us who were lucky enough to come to the Colorado New Place Summit,
Right.
got to see, I would say it was more than a staged reading of it. That was almost like a pseudo production of it.
It was pretty amazing because I think most of those kids were off book. They weren't standing there reading from scripts. And you're right, it was and it was choreographed to a bit. I mean, there will be a much higher level of production for the full deal, but
So both of your subscriber bases get to support and take advantage of that, making its world premiere here.
And once again, with knocking wood and turning around 3 times, and not to jinx anything, I'm pretty excited about this project, and I think there's a good chance it will have a successful life beyond Denver, Colorado.
Well, I happen to agree with you, and I will be cheering and telling everybody I know about that particular production because it so far surpassed my expectations when I heard it was part of the New Place Summit.
Yeah.
It was really lovingly done.
Yeah.
It's a full packed season, 18 months of a season now.
Right.
It seems as though the Denver Center Attractions and Denver Center Theatre Company, all of the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, is geared up and excited to bring us great work and sort of leading us back to a time where we can just come downtown and have a good time. And I really appreciate you sharing this glimpse of your season, and congratulations to you and all who worked on putting it together.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for visiting with us.
A really full season extending to 18 months, including the Denver Center attractions and a special production of an original musical at the Denver Center Theatre Company. Visit denvercenter.org for subscription information for this exciting season. Senior Housing Options is producing Driving Miss Daisy as a benefit in the lobby of the Bart Hotel. We stopped in during early rehearsals to visit with the cast and the director. That will be on an upcoming episode, but Driving Miss Daisy is running now. Driving Miss Daisy is playing now. Visit seniorhousingoptions.org for ticket information. This benefit runs through August 18th.
That's all for this edition. Remember to join us on Facebook and Twitter. With all that Colorado has to offer, we're here to help you keep it in focus. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Snugglebug.